Welcome to Basically Us, Episode 1. This is the show where two friends met online, minted, and decided to make a podcast. Together, they will share good conversations and lively debates on current topics, or they might just faff about. And don't worry, they will not mind their P's and Q's. Ladies and gentlemen, Brady and Benski.
Oh, dude, I think we're live for the first time ever, man. So for everybody out there, I'm Brady, and Benski, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, and I'm basically Benski. So, it's just both of us just finally doing it. I think we've been trying to get this started for a few weeks now. We're a little bit past our deadline, but we're here. We're doing it. So
you said little? Oh my God, we're way past our deadline. I think, wasn't it May 1st?
I was trying to give us some leeway.
It's June 10th. It's June 10th. We went way past. I mean, we can say we had projects and stuff, but no, we are way past the deadlines on that
one.
Well,
but you're right. We had some projects, and luckily we'll talk about that, here, one of the big projects that kind of distracted us, and it was a good thing. So, it's not like we weren't doing nothing.
Right. Okay. So I think it's good for anybody that's listening that we introduce ourselves and we talk a little bit about ourselves, and then I have a little game that I want to play after we introduce ourselves.
Sweet.
Take it away.
Yeah. So I'm Benski, and I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. Is Benski my real name? Obviously, it's not. It is just Ben. But I've been Benski since I was I was a kid. My father's name is Ben. And so it was just really easy to kind of get involved. I think my friends called me Benski, but my mom helped make that stick because it was just an easy way to distinguish between me and my father. Except when we were both in trouble, we were both Benjamin, so it didn't help, especially when we were getting into shenanigans together. So, but yeah, I grew up out east in New Jersey. I absolutely loved it out there. Spent a little time in Missouri after that, and I hated it there. And so I moved back to the East Coast, Delaware. But then I wanted to get back into school, and that's what landed me here in Utah. I ended up not finishing school right now. And, between careers and everything else is kind of how I landed into content creating with 3D printing. And, as of right now, that the rest is history, and I know that's a quick overview, but that's just, it's an easy way to talk about it right now.
Dude, I thought that you just stayed in Utah because you were just trying to do the whole East Coast to West Coast thing and just ran out of money. just stayed there.
Just didn't make. Honestly, it felt like that when I landed in Utah. I didn't have a job. I thought I had a place to live, and they had given the lease to someone else, and so I was living out of my my car at the time. But luckily, I'm a big camper, so there's so much public land out here that I actually ended up camping. And just living out of a tent for 2 months before I finally found an actual place to live. So yeah, in a weird way, that sounds like the story. I just didn't make it out west.
For real. That's so weird. To give you guys a little bit of background about myself, I live in Colorado. So on lonely nights, I will actually go out and face west and do the five-hole from, five-holes, and just think that Benski's looking at the same sky that I am.
Oh, I am.
Somewhere out there. And I know Benski's in his driveway doing the same thing. It's great. Even though nowadays we could just call or text each other. But
yeah,
we haven't actually talked in a while.
Yeah, actually. I think the last time we talked was when you were getting your Raising Cane's and left it and had to drive 100%. An hour back to get it.
You cannot get me in hot coital debates about things.
It's true.
And
I think that was my fault. I'll take 50% of the blame for why you forgot your canes.
you are I'll own it, but you are to blame. But anyways, I'm Brady, and of course that's my last name. But I live in Colorado. I'm a former vet of the Army. I was a medic in the Army. I moved to Colorado, and I swore I'd never lived in a military town again. And of course, I met my wife, and she was like, "I live in Colorado Springs." I had never heard of it before in my life. Come to find out, Colorado Springs doesn't have one military base in it, which is great. It actually has 5. It has 5 military bases, so the entire town is military. I have nothing against the military at all. It's just I just kind of wanted to separate myself from it, but I've been here ever since, and she's very planted here, so yeah. I'm here.
I feel
so
that.
It's pretty cool. And
I should have mentioned, Brady. I think part of the reason that we're even more connected is I was actually born in Denver. and I was born in like Denver. So like people always, nobody who's from there isn't from there doesn't understand what I mean by I say I was born in Denver, because like my birth certificate, will say like Denver, and they're like, what does that mean? And anyways, but yeah, I spent the first
like Denver proper.
Yeah. I spent the first 3 or 4 years of my life there, and I only remember it because like there was like 2 crazy traumatic events that happened there. Like I was mauled by a dog when I lived there, and I had over like 2,000 stitches on my face. Which, since you guys are in a podcast, you don't have to deal with my face, but that's why it looks that way. But that's just kind of a crazy time that I remember Colorado so well because of that.
That's a bad reason to remember Colorado, but
I do love it.
We try to keep it. We do try to keep it secret. So, all right. So, hey, here's the game I want to play.
Okay.
So, people are getting to know us. So, what I want you to do is, I want you to give us your best trait, your worst trait, and your weirdest trait about you.
My best, worst, and weirdest trait.
Yeah.
I think my best trait is the fact that I don't stop moving forward. I've had a lot of things in my life that for a lot of people would make them like stop progressing in their life, or they would stop trying new things. And one of the things that I feel very proud of, and it's something that I get a compliment on, is that there's nothing that stops me. I don't let my circumstance stop me. I don't let what people say stop me. If I want to try something or I want to accomplish something, I'm going to do that. I might not sleep, I might not eat, but I will accomplish that thing. And I think that's one of my best.
You're juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, that's a juggernaut, bitch. I love that. That's actually really cool. Maybe I should that should be my next helmet. But my worst trait, I think, is a tie between my horrific concept of time. I don't remember how far back something was. Like I would when I was dating my wife, I was like, dude, I've been dating her for like 6 months or whatever. And then somebody was like, wait, I thought you said you guys made it official on this date. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, that was 3 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, geez. Like I just, for some reason, recalling time, super not good at. And it gets me into a lot of like trouble when we're trying to like make plans. So I think that's why it's like my worst trait. My weirdest trait is that I guess would this qualify as a weird trait, that like I am extremely talented in things that people wouldn't expect. For example, I'm a bigger guy, right? I'm like 5'9", but I'm like 260 pounds, and I used to be a rugby player, if that gives you a better idea of my body build. But I'm a fantastic.
You're stout.
Yeah, but I'm a fantastic ice skater. And like I have some other like really weird qualities about myself like that, because
after the podcast, I need pictures of this, by the way.
Well, and that's the thing, the trait that derives from is that I am obsessed with trying to beat the status quo of how I look to people. So I just want to find out how to do those things so that people are like, oh, what do you do for fun? It's like, oh, I crochet and ice skate. And they're like, wait, are you for real? And it's like, yes.
Isn't it brochet now? You brochet.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's brochet.
Brochet.
But yeah, I love
brochet now.
I love looking for stuff like that, like where it's just like, I mean, again, I still have a Harley. It's a giant Harley. I still power lift and all the other stuff, but I do love finding that other stuff that's odd, and I want that to be a part of me. So
hey, so actually, I heard a fun fact about Harleys. Harleys, it says, this is a fun fact. Harleys. Did you know that there was a commercial that came out that said Harleys, 90% of Harleys ever made are still on the road today? Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, the other 10% made them home. So, yeah, I'm not a Harley guy. I like the adventure bike type.
Type of well, the problem is I can't do adventure bike because I'm so short, and adventure bikes sit so high. And
Suzuki is your brand.
Well,
Suzuki's your brand.
Yeah, Suzuki's are good. The Pan America by Harley isn't bad because they have the variable suspension. So like when you're parked, it lowers itself, and then when you take off, it puts itself up. So that was nice. But I have really short legs. So, but let's go to you now. What is your best, worst, and weirdest?
Oh man, okay. So best, I would definitely say, what you see is what you get. I'm the same person whether I'm online, on podcast, in person. It doesn't really matter. I'm kind of the same person across the board. I try to be as genuine as possible. Even if I don't like somebody, like I'm one of those people that's going to break someone's heart when they're in the bar, and they're that person that is just making me want to take a shower because they're looking at my wife weird or something like that. I'm not a super jealous guy, but at the same time, I'm like, ew, dude, you're just gross, right? And I'll tell them, like, if they're like, oh, hey, man, you like me? And I'm like, no, you're gross. Like,
No.
you're weird. So I try to be genuine. I would say that my worst trait is that I let ADHD just take over. So I am so squirrel about things. I am like so absolutely squirrel about things. So like I'll start, like, I got to tell you, I have been working on your challenge helmet for and I finally got it, right? Like I finally just like forced myself to go out to the garage and just sit out there and do it. And then of course I dropped it in the dirt, and that was heartbreaking, but absolute heartbreaking. I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect. Look at this. And I was like going to go show my wife, and bam, just dropped it in the dirt.
Those
like,
text messages were so like emotionally draining. It was like excitement. Oh no, excitement. Oh no. I was like, I don't know what to do right now. I ate my feelings out because of those text messages.
And then I would say like my weirdest, I don't know like what a weirdest would be. Like I'm a pretty weird dude. I think my weirdest is that I'm like so here and here, like I'm so like far away on certain things, and then like so far away on the other side of things, right?
Right.
Like I'm a super nerd, right? But I'm a soldier, right? Like I'm a former soldier, right? Like I'm like super guy around the house with my wife, but at the same time, like you've heard me, you and I, we've talked about my feelings, right? Like so I think I've spanned the board so far that there's really no way to peg me. Well, I would definitely say that. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, not peg me in the. I don't want to be pegged either, but peg me as a person is what I'm saying.
International Women's Day is coming up, so I don't know. We got to talk to your wife, I guess. We're both Deadpool fans, but no, it's funny. It's funny. I think both our weirdest traits are actually the same. It's just like we look at them differently. Because like I'm the same exact way. Harley rider by day, feelings crocheter by night, ice skater.
It's crazy though, because like I weirdly, like I believe in like certain gender like, and I think it's just because it's the way I feel about things. But like I believe in like certain gender roles, right?
Sure.
So like my wife, I'm like, babe, do not touch the trash. Just tell me when it needs to go out. I don't care what time of day, what time of night, whatever. I'm taking it out, right? If this needs to be fixed, if it's dirty, if it's gross, if it's hot, tiring, let me do it.
Yeah.
Like, let me do it. And so, but then at the same time, she's like 100% my equal, man. So
no, yeah. And me and my wife are the exact same way. But it's funny. We're speaking of my wife. So my wife's from California, and you and I kind of briefly talked about this, but I really wanted to talk about it today. What is up with all of these sharks in Florida?
Dude, okay, so I'm going there, right? So like we'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm going there, and I'm from there too. Originally. Okay, so here's a funny thing that I just I read probably about an hour ago, is that there's been, I think, 3 attacks so far this year, right? And they say, oh, it's just up a little bit than it was last year. There's nothing to be scared about. Then I see the video. Benski, of thousands of bull sharks. And it's not just bull sharks too, by the way. They say it's bull sharks, but it's like bull sharks and hammerheads and tiger sharks and like all these like terrifying creatures. And I respect sharks, and I've swam with sharks before, and I actually respect them, and I think they're one of the most beautiful animals in the ocean. But right now, going into Florida waters is a fuck that moment by like you would not believe.
Yeah. No, I mean,
right? Like across the board.
Well, you got to think, right? So I grew up in New Jersey, right? And that's where they filmed Jaws. Okay. Like people have a very interesting perspective on sharks in New Jersey. And it's so funny because there was 2 years when I lived in New Jersey that I wanted to try to surf like every day of the year. And even when you're like comfortable with the water, and I was talking to my brother about this the last time we were out in Jersey, like you just look out there and you're like, nah, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to come back in for a little bit because, it's going to get me. And I know that, even though statistically speaking, it'll never happen in my lifetime. It's such an interesting fear that you're just like, nah, I'm not even going to risk that. Not even going
Well,
to
I
risk
hate to
that.
say this, and my prayers go out to anybody that was hurt, but like I have to tell you that Florida is a great example of like, and all these shark attacks that happen all the time in Florida is a great example of like whites wandering, if you know what I'm saying, right? It's
Yeah.
100%. It's like, okay, so like let's not talk about sharks, but let's talk about like any haunted story ever.
Right.
There's a creak going on in the attic, right? Who's the first person that goes up? They're like, oh, I better go check out that sound. Be like, no, dude, leave.
Yeah.
Right? Like leave. Right? If I walk into a house tomorrow, if I buy a house tomorrow and I walk into the house and I hear a sound go, get out. I'll be like, oh babe, we gotta pack our shit. We gotta go.
Hey, that was fun.
We gotta
This
go.
was so cool.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I
The
have
ghosts
never...
obviously don't want us here.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you talk about that. We're talking about sharks, all this other stuff, because like I love camping, but growing up in New Jersey, everybody and their dog talks about the Jersey Devil, and like to the point where like I know there's a part of me even now as a grown man who's like, I think it's still actually real. Like maybe, like just maybe it's actually real, because like it's so, like, and it's like, yeah, we would be camping and we would spend so much time hiking in, and then if something like just sounded off, we were like, hey, cool, we're gonna go back to the car. We just hiked 3 miles, but no, not staying here tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't understand what did you call it? Whites wandering.
White's wandering. I'm telling you right now, because like here's the crazy thing about it is that I promise you that there are at least 2 or 3 families, right? Like let's say Midwestern families, right? From like Colorado or whatever, right? That think they have it pinned where they're like, you know what? Let's just go into the water. They're more scared of us than we are of them. No, they're not. I go in the water all the time. Trust me, I'm scared as hell of sharks, right? And I've swam with them, right? And I know what they can do. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like thousands of sharks, not worth it. Or they're going like, the sharks, they don't come past the first sandbar. I'm like, if all there is an underwater like hill between me and sharks, have you seen the things that happen in Africa when they jump like 15 feet out of the water? That little hill under the water is nothing. No. But anyway,
it's like nobody's seen Jaws, like at all. Like, come on, that movie, it's crazy. I actually just saw that movie recently, and I like forgot how much that still scares me. Like you watch it, and you're like, dang, like this is that intro, man. Nothing beats that intro of that movie for like the scariest movie opening.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying. Well, but my thing is though with Florida though, is Florida becoming Australia now? Like that's my question.
Feels like
everything
right?
in Florida wants to kill you. Yeah, everything like so. If you get out of the ocean, you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to go chill in the lake. No, you can't do that because there's alligators and crocodiles there now, and boa constrictors, and I'm pretty sure they found an anaconda. Like that's a huge no moment. Like you got nope ropes swimming around down the water. No, thank you.
Well, and like,
right, you got killer logs. Like no, thank you.
Well, yeah, crocodiles and alligators are like my top fear. Those are my top fear.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, no way. No shot.
Yeah, because you fish though too.
You
fish.
Yeah.
Right? Just like our sound engineer fishes. Like he fishes as well. And like so you don't want to that would be terrifying.
It's that death roll, man. That's what scares me the most. Is like if it got me and then started like rolling, I'd be like, well, that was fun. And because you're not gonna die right away, you're just gonna have to deal with that for however long. Like
Well, it makes me think about Crocodile Dundee when like it gets the chick's canteen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
He's like yanking her in the water. Oh, dude, yeah, like no. But like I said, I love nature. But it's just not my. It's not my it's not my bag to play with it when it's saying no. Like I swear to God, it's like a fraternity of sharks right now got together and they were like, "Hey, Aquaman sent us here to the coast of Florida. Stop going in the water." And people aren't listening to it. And again, just whites wander into the most dangerous situations in the world. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm just going to go check it out. They're more scared than we are. So it's ridiculous.
That's so crazy. Oh, man.
It's absurd.
Well, so speaking of Florida and everything like that, so you went on vacation recently, right? Well, semi-recently?
No, I'm going.
You're going on vacation. Sorry, you're going on vacation.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I'm confused.
Going on Sunday. Wait, hold on. Like, when does this podcast? Like, okay, yeah, I'm going on an undisclosed date. I don't need people running into me in the bar.
I mean, I already went up. Yeah, of course, I already went on vacation.
Well, here's the thing: if people want to spend that amount of money to come see me in a Disney park, by all means. So yeah, no, we're going to Disney. So I'm taking the wife, my daughter, and her friend with us to Disney. Nice. So yeah, it'll be pretty fun. But like, I got to tell you, I hate the week leading up to any vacation like this. I hate it. It's the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't know if your wife's the same, but like, in order for us to go on vacation, we cannot look like we actually live in our home before we go on vacation.
I'm
And so,
actually that way. She's not.
oh God,
I
really?
am. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I am.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's
I
horrible, and
I
like I've ran into weird situations this week.
yeah, I like it because I like coming home to that. I really like coming home and then just like I can drop my bags and there's nothing else to worry about. Like I can just go back in and then we're done. I don't know why that habit started. I have no idea, but it's funny that me and your wife are like on the same page about that.
Yeah, but okay. So, but here's the thing that I've been running into this week, though.
Mhm.
So, like, I am a planner, right? You know that, like, outside of social media and all the stuff that we do, right? The charity and social media and everything
Mhm.
like that. I'm a project manager, and you
Yeah.
know it by even when we talk. I kind of deal with everything kind of
Yeah.
statistically down the board. So I'm one of those people like, hey, I'm not going to stress myself out by cleaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one thing a day, right? And as long as I get it done and I stay on schedule, the project is complete by the end of the week. And it looks like we don't live here, right?
Yeah.
So yesterday I was doing the bathroom, right? I was doing the bathroom and I cleaned this thing top to bottom,
Mhm.
right? Like top to bottom. I come out and I'm like, hey, babe, I did the bathroom. And she goes, oh, did you clean the toilet? I'm like, well, yeah, of course I cleaned the toilet. Like it's part of cleaning the bathroom. Oh, did you do the shower? I'm like, yeah. And then here's where the trick comes in.
All right.
Every single time, my wife likes to throw in something that has never been done in the history of the world and ask me if I did it just to be able to say I did a shit job cleaning the bathroom.
So what was
Right?
it this time?
So this one was, did you scrub the ceiling?
Wow, that's extensive.
Who the hell scrubs the ceiling? Like I can
No.
understand maybe like in a downstairs bathroom and the kids don't run the fan and stuff like that. But we've never scrubbed the ceiling, and we've been in this house for like 10 years. I think the only time the ceiling has ever been scrubbed was simply when I don't know. I don't even think maybe a professional cleaner did it.
I can confidently say I have never scrubbed the ceilings in any of the homes I've ever lived in. I've scrubbed ceilings before because I used to work for like a restoration company, but like that was a whole other thing. But like I have never done that in my own home. I honestly thought you were going to say something like, "Did you like pull out the drain plugs and like reseal them?" But I'm realizing somehow the ceilings was more ridiculous than that thought.
Completely. I like have dealt with a week of ridiculousness, like the rounding thing that I was dealing with last week, and like somehow 12,231 became 15 grand, and then I had then they're like, oh, Brady, this would be a great project for you to go back and do anyways. So, but it's like always something like that. It's always like, okay, well, even if I would have scrubbed the ceiling, then it would have been like, well, did you fold the toilet paper into a triangle at the end? Be like, no, of course I didn't.
No,
we've never done that.
So I'm not that
Like,
bad.
we've
I'm
never
definitely
done that.
not that bad. I just like I like cleaning the house to a point that when we come home, I don't have to do anything when we get back other than like put clothes in the laundry and then like I can just relax. So
see, I'm a put it away when I'm done with it guy. Like that's my thing. Is that like if you've seen like we've FaceTime before, you've seen my office. It's never out of place.
Yeah.
Like barely ever. And even when I do videos, people get pissed off when I do videos, and I'm like, oh my God, my office looks terrible. And people are like, you have like 5 things out. And I'm like, that's been driving me nuts for like 3 or 4 days. Like it's crazy. Right.
Yeah.
But,
I wish I had that problem because like for some reason, like I can't get like I keep getting this area that I record everything in like 90% because then I get distracted and I need to do something else. And then it's like then that 90% turns into 50%. Then I have to start all over. And it's just I wish I could keep it that much more tidy like that because I would love that.
Okay, so dude, I'm going to Florida, right? Going on vacation. You just got back from camping, and it's not something we've ever really talked about, but like you seem to be like really into, I guess, like trial homelessness. So tell me more about that.
Trial homelessness. Yeah, I mean, like, well, I guess what specifically are you looking for? Because I feel like I could go really off tangent with this.
No, like you like camping, right? Like camping.
Yeah.
When you say camping, what kind of camping are you talking about?
Yeah, so personally, if I'm just camping alone, I'm going on like the most like bare minimum gear camping I can. Like I want to bring a tent, I want to bring a little mess kit for some like dehydrated food and like some water, and that's about it. Obviously like a sleeping bag. I really enjoy like getting out there in the middle of nothing and just having nothing. I used to camp so much, like before I was dating my wife, I was living with a bunch of dudes in a house, and like literally I would just look at them. We'd all be hanging out, and it would be like 2 a.m. I'd be like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna go camping. Here's where I'm gonna be in case I don't come back in like 2 days. And I would just like leave and just like find a spot in the middle of like the desert or whatever, and just like be out there. I really like that kind of camping. I love putting my like stuff on my motorcycle and like again just riding until there's a spot where I can just pull over and camp. Like I love that. Just like real just like dirt roller. But like with my wife, she's not that way. Like she typically has to have like hopefully running water. Actually, this last camping trip was the first time we just had like a portable toilet in like a tent that we like brought. And that was fine with her because like we had all the stuff she needed. But that was like the most rough she'd ever done. But like that one we had a tent, we had the Solex generator so I could run a projector with a projector screen, and I had like an overtop tarp that went from the back of my car to like outwards so we could have a place underneath. So that one was a little bit more like bougie. And then on the other side, I want like a full decked out home RV so bad.
Nothing infuriates me in this world more than RV and campers. Nothing in the world
Really?
infuriates me more. Nothing in the world infuriates me more.
That's so
Nothing in the
fun.
world.
I want one so bad.
I think they're the dumbest thing on the planet.
No, they're
I'm
so
not even gonna lie to you.
100%. They are dumb. Like
they're stupid.
It feels so counteractive to go out in the middle of the woods in a mobile home like that. But there's also something where I'm like, but that would be fun.
No. Okay, no. So we're not aligning on this. Okay, so I need you to understand we're not seeing eye to eye on this. First of all, okay, so number one, being temporarily homeless to me is absolutely ridiculous. To like pay money to be temporary homeless in any kind of camping situation to me is absolutely ridiculous, right? Like I'm going to go out and be miserable without creature comforts. I like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to find yourself like doing peyote and like going on a vision walk or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like we have hotels for a reason. We have AC for a reason. That's like, just stay there. Right? Go be hot for a little bit and then come back and get in the AC, right? 2. So now let's talk about these camper people. Okay, camper people, I don't care how many people unfollow us because of this, but I think camper people are the most ridiculous people on the planet. So
100%.
you are going, so here's my thing. You're going to go buy a camper, right? Because you're going to get out. You're going to get out and do things, right? You're going to go out and explore the wilderness, right? But where do they park the campers 90% of the time? I have to get out of my neighborhood because, right. So here we go, right? So I have a camper. I'm going to spend $32,000. Do you know how many hotels you can buy? How many hotel rooms you can buy for 32 grand? I mean, that's vacations for the next 7 years. I can go to the Maldives for like a month and a half, 2 months for 32 grand, right? But anyway, and live like a king, by the way.
Like a king.
But anyways, it doesn't matter. So I am then going to get a camper so I can get out of my neighborhood because I'm too close to my neighbor, right? And then I'm going to take it to an RV park and park even closer to people that I don't like either, right? Or I'm going to go park in the middle of the woods somewhere where I'm just like a tin can shell for any bear that wants to get me or any robber that wants to get me. No thanks.
It's funny.
And the setup time is absurd. And then you have to deal with the poop pipe too. Nope.
It's funny because I will say you're right. We're totally not aligned with this because my dream, and I've been telling my wife this ever since we got married, is that after the kids are out of the house and everything like that, we're going to just like put the house up for rent. And I want to buy a Sprinter van that's like a mini home. And I want to just travel the entire country and explore the whole country and just live out of that thing for like a year or so while we like figure it out and like just like again explore everything. But you know, to your point, you could do that in a minivan and just do hotels the whole time.
Because if you do the whole van thing, then you got to get an ukulele and then like sit on the side of the road and play ukulele for gas money.
But because
you're homeless.
That's true. It's funny though, because it's funny you brought up like the AC because I am a very hot individual. Not like you hot. I'm like hot temperature. You're just hot. But I almost exclusively love camping in the winter, which is I know probably more miserable to you, but I love camping when there's like so much snow outside. Like that's my favorite.
I think I'm so adverse to it because I did it professionally, like in a war zone in a desert, right? But like. Okay, so first of all, if it's not like spring or fall time and like no rain, like, and here's the thing is, I will say this: I'm a fiscal camper, right? Like if I'm at a fishing spot and then I'm gonna have to drive an hour and a half away to go to a hotel, pay $90 to $100 for a hotel, then drive an hour and a half back. I actually would probably do it now that I think about it. That still sounds reasonable. Never mind. I'm not a physical camper anymore. That still sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Than sitting out there and dying in the heat and bugs and everything. Yeah, no thanks. Mm-mm.
No, I mean, I can say I'm definitely one of the people, and this could have been one of the best traits about me. I'm somebody who totally can see people's points, like 100%. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say you're stupid or wrong. I get it. Like I think I love camping. To pull the curtain just a little bit back real quick, I think I love camping because growing up we were so homeless that we had to camp at some point, and my dad was really good at making it fun so we could kind of forget that we were camping. And so camping's just become an integral part of me. But I can
rise above it, man. Rise above it.
I own a home. I rised above. I own a home.
I agree.
But I think I just like it. I think it's just fun to get out there. But I will say in the summer especially, hotels all day. Hotels all day.
All right.
But
so
yeah.
But what?
Oh no, I was just gonna say no. I was saying like speaking of hotels and stuff like that. I love hotels for one reason and one reason only is it's the only time I get to watch like ridiculousness from like MTV.
That's all that's on.
It's the only thing that's on, but it's
on.
great. It's great. But it got me thinking, like you and I talk a lot about like what we're watching or what we're gonna watch. And so it's just got me thinking like what are things that are on your watch list right now?
So I just got done watching Princess and the Frog for the first time. I've never seen it. It's like I've seen bits and pieces. Well, I've like kids, right? Like so I've like watched this part, but I'm doing this, and then I've watched this part and I'm doing this. But I watched it all the way through and really gave it like a good watch. I got to tell you, that was a phenomenal movie, right? Like I love the different styles of animation where they used like the Cajun animation and stuff like that. But we finished X-Men 97. You and I kind of did that together, so that was really good. Yeah. I think the next one on my watch list is Acolyte, to be honest with you, and I'm really worried about it.
You should be. I don't want to give any spoilers to like anybody who's listening, but I've caught up and I got to see the episode 3 leak, and I'm gonna keep watching it because I have that weird compulsion where even if I hate something, I have to finish it. But so far, and I'm very scared because it feels. I think you and I kind of align on the fact that like we're not purists in the sense that like everything has to align with like canons all the time, but at the same time, like you have to have some idea of like source material. And I think who's the guy who wrote Game of Thrones? Romero? Is it
George R.R. Martin?
Yeah, George R.R. Martin. He had said recently, or he had said that like the downfall of adaptations is that the people making the adaptations think they know the source material better than the people who are writing it. And like I think Rings of Power is a perfect example of that, right? Like that was where they thought they knew it better, and it's like not really. I think we're seeing that with Star Wars a lot. Is that like they think they know this material better, but they clearly don't. And Acolytes is unfortunately to me a prime example of I think I know what this is about, so I'm going to do that. And it's really frustrating right now. Again, because
they kind of did that with Halo. They did that with Halo. I mean, like,
Halo
100% did it with Halo.
Halo did that as well, and it's really frustrating. But that's why it's really interesting where you have shows like Fallout. You watched Fallout, right?
Killed it. They did an amazing job on Fallout.
Absolutely killed it. And then Last of Us also killed it.
But the game writers though were involved in the show though. Like every step they took, they were involved in it. But like so Acolyte, like here's the thing for me with Acolyte that is interesting to me is that one, I do like the fact that they are expanding out right to different people to play Jedis and different people to play this, that. And it takes place in the Old Republic, right? The end of the Old Republic, I believe, right? Like 100 years ago. Yeah. And it's supposed to be like kind of a murder mystery type thing. So I don't know if that's like how it actually shakes out, but I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I'm going to give it a shake, right? Because I'm so done with Skywalker. I'm so over Skywalker. I'm done, right?
But
like
we shouldn't have been.
It's like Mario.
We shouldn't have been over Skywalker, but they made us done with Skywalker, and I hate that.
Well, no, but here's the thing though. It's like Mario Brothers or Sonic or anything else. Like, why has that little hedgehog not died yet? I'm over it, right? Like, I don't want to see another Sonic movie. I don't want to see another Sonic.
I really like that Sonic movie.
Like, make new shit, people.
It's
Please,
true.
just make something new,
It's true,
right? Like,
and that's the thing. I will
please.
say, to any credit that exists to Acolytes, at least it's nothing I've seen before.
Now, I will say this though: the interviews for the Acolyte have been bad, right? Like,
They're so
the
bad.
guy, the main guy of the show is saying, "Hey, do you remember when Luke Skywalker? Do you remember when Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, he was on the Death Star. Well, he just got off, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then they said that they were trying to piss Star Wars fans off, which I get. But like, the one thing I don't understand about that is that why are you trying to reach fans that have had the opportunity for the last 30 years, 40 years to watch Star Wars and they haven't, right? So
Yeah.
why are you now trying to reach the people who are totally adverse to watching Star Wars?
Here's my biggest beef. Not my biggest beef, but here's one of them. It feels, man, the only word I can think of is weirdly racist. That all of a sudden, where you get introduced to Asian characters and people know kung fu and martial arts,
That's
and
horribly
like,
racist.
right, like imagine if you will, me as a native Mexican American Aztec person were to be in Star Wars, and they were like, hey, this is the Star Wars universe. It takes place in a completely different universe millions of years ago or thousands of years ago, but we need you to wear this sombrero. It's like, hold on, like that feels, and you use maracas instead of lightsabers. I'd be like, well, I don't like this. It feels like I like inclusion. I don't mind inclusion. I'm not trying to say that. It just feels weird when the inclusion doesn't make sense. This is my big problem with it, where it's like you have to either do something really crazy to explain why in the canon that we currently have, nobody uses hand-to-hand combat as a Jedi, but in here we have almost everyone exclusively using martial arts. And it's like, where did that you'd have to explain why that got lost. It was the same problem I had with Rings of Power. Again, don't mind inclusion, but you have to really explain to me why I never saw any black hobbits ever in Lord of the Rings. Like, there has to be, you need to tell me why that didn't happen. And that's the part that I don't like, is when you're just going to throw things in there without explaining how they're there here, but they don't exist here. And
see, I don't have a card to play in that, right? Like,
right.
Don't get me wrong, I do find it weird sometimes. I'm like, I personally think it's inherently racist when they make a character that's been white for 40 years, then they make them a person of color, right? I'm like, can you write people new stuff, right? Like Encanto was a great example of that, right? Encanto, you got a house that's like, okay, first of all, let's be real on Encanto, and this is another movie my wife just watched and she loves. Is that not close to like a horror story? Like, is it not just like one notch off of a horror story? You got this house that's basically controlling everything, and like, if you just piss the house off just a little bit, I mean, like, it plays pranks on you, right? It plays a little few pranks on you, but at the same time, I mean, that's a killer house all day long.
Yeah, it's Monster House.
Ridiculous.
It's just Monster House 2.
The whole time I was sitting there just going, this is going to turn. This is going to turn. I already know it's going to turn. The house is the bad guy. But hey, real quick though. So speaking of watching stuff, right? I watched Wish. One of the most heavily contested movies of all time.
I need to. Okay, we've never talked about Wish, right?
Nope, we haven't talked about Wish.
I want to know what you have to say, because I have probably one of the strongest opinions about it, and I have gotten into verbal fights at work about this.
I think that you and I might align on this, because here's the funny thing is, then like, and real quick, sound JC sound engineer, make sure this is going to be a clip. I promise you. Hot take. I absolutely loved it. Loved that movie. It was so perfectly 80s, 90s Disney.
It was so good.
So you have the protagonist, right? And then the bad guy was like really not a bad guy, but he's actually like a really, really bad guy. And then on top of that, then the like, you keep going, the protagonist changes it like all the way around, and it ends the way you know it's going to end. I absolutely loved it.
I got out of that theater and I was like, this is the best Disney movie I've seen in the last 10 years. I was raving it. And like, I went to work and I was telling everybody to go watch it, because like, I'm a big like go see it opening day guy. And so I went out, I was like, go watch it. And then everybody came back and they're like, it was okay. And I was like, listen here, I could fire all of you right now. I was so mad, because it's just like, it's so good. It's way more complex than people think it is. Like, you got to think, like, Asha, debatably, you could make an argument that she was the bad guy. Like you could spin it, because like he sits there, Magnifico's like, look, we cannot let this wish go because it would cause a riot. And she's like, absolutely not, you're stupid. You know what that wish did? It instantly caused an uprising, and
A revolution.
it caused everything that Magnifico was afraid of. And so it begs the question, like, so here's an issue. I don't think we've ever talked about this part of our lives either, but for anybody who is religious, it brings the God question into it. Is God a bad person for helping make decisions for you, or helping you, guide you on decisions, kind of like Magnifico was trying to help people because he saw a bigger picture? Or is Asha the bad person because she's not listening to that? Like, where's the morality sit with that? And it's such a I don't think people realize how complicated of a movie that was. And it was kind of done that way on purpose, because they also broke a lot of status quos, right? Typically in Disney movies, the bad person is in purple or blue, and Asha was wearing purple the entire time. And typically the good guys are wearing white and like really nice light colors, and Magnifico was the one wearing the light colors. So like, interestingly enough, in a weird way, they were showing us that maybe she's not the best person, but it's something we identify with, so it's easy to get behind her as a normal person, to say, hey, you know what, like, I want my wish back. But what's crazy is like nobody knew that they cared until she brought it forward. I mean, even the fight she has with her grandpa, where she's like, I want to tell you about it. He's like, why would you want to do this to me if it's never going to happen? And it's like, that's such a great question. Like, why would you, what do you do, you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to pause you there because like my brain is full now, because holy shit, dude, that's a lot deeper. Like I just thought it was a cute movie that like it ended like it normally did, and I like this is as deep as I get. Is that's in my top 3 villain movies now?
Yeah,
right? Like or villain songs. Like so, of course it goes. Be prepared, right? Be prepared was
yes.
like I think the greatest villain song of all time,
I
right?
think it's
And then Ursula, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, and what is that? How does that one go? It's just
Poor unfortunate soul.
Poor unfortunate souls, right? Was
poor
amazing.
Unfortunate soul.
Yeah,
with the
right.
with
Like
the
I
boob
love
shake.
it. This one wanted to be Skinner. This one wanted to get the girl. And do I help them?
No, it's a good one.
Yes, indeed. The funniest thing is, funny thing about that, we were just talking about people of color. Everybody thought Ursula was played by somebody who was black. By the way.
Oh yeah, that was Crazy. Always my impression.
Yeah. You know what? Oh God, do we count Nightmare Before Christmas as Disney? Because it really wasn't, and it wasn't made as a Disney movie. Let's just put that off to the side, because Oogie Boogie's is the best bad guy song of all time. But to
set the record straight, I do count it because there is an exclusive Nightmare Before Christmas ride at Disney during Christmas.
Yeah, but the problem is though, for like 2 years while it was out, it wasn't Disney.
Yes.
That's the thing.
I do agree.
So can we just put it in a special category to make me feel better on this one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Then it goes, this is the things I get. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I have been singing that to my kids every time I get off the phone with them, and I get a little bit of attitude. I'm like, and this is the things I get. Love it.
It's funny. Talking about emotional. So I bawled like a baby during their duet. When they were, what is it called? What was the duet called?
Are you talking about In Wish?
If happiness was a tangible thing. Yeah. So the reason I bawled was because for anybody who's listening who doesn't know this, my wife is a widow. She lost her first husband in a car accident, and they had 2 children together, and my wife and I are now married, and those children are now my children. I look at them as my children. I look at them as my own. They call me daddy. They're a boy and a girl. I don't want to get too personal into it because I just don't want to give a lot of information about them, but they are younger. They're smaller, younger children. And when that song came on, my heart was just picturing them as like those wishes, because like that's all still really fresh for me still. And I was bawling because it's like, what was the line where it's like if happiness was a tangible thing, like it would be you. And I'm like thinking about my kids. And so like I'm watching this with my kids in theaters, and I am bawling, and my son just goes, "Daddy, why are you crying?" And I was like, "It's because I love you." Like I'm just like, I just was like, and now it's like, I can't not, every time that song comes on, I like just start crying, because my kids love Wish also, which is also why they rock, because they know good, movies. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. I love that movie. I will not shut up about it.
So let's talk about crying, right? Because I
Yes.
have had an emotional couple weeks. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah,
I
we
have
both
had.
have.
I mean, like, and the worst part about it is that like even the videos I shot where I came through and I was crying,
Mhm.
those videos were probably like take 15. By the
Oh
way,
yeah, same.
like it was so hard. Like, I got to a point where I was like sobbing and babbling
Mhm.
for the thing that we just did, right?
Yeah.
So you and I, we've always been talking about, so like for people who are listening on the outside, we run a hashtag. Well, it started as a hashtag, now it's becoming a charity.
Mhm.
A hashtag called 3D Print Cares, and it's where we rally the 3D printing community around, and we get people to print things for people in need, right? And so we got presented with a situation where a little boy was on his 6th birthday, found out he had cancer for a second time.
Yeah.
Right. He had lost his dad. I believe he lost his dad, or he's about to lose his dad. Hopefully not. Right. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Right.
But he
Yeah.
had lost his grandpa. And on his 6th birthday, found out that he had AML cancer.
Mhm.
And this kid is such a little warrior. And it's good. Now I can talk about it. Right. Like I'm not going to get
Yeah.
as worked up as I used to be. He is such a little warrior that he actually, his only wish, right, was to have 3D printed toys because he thought they were really cool for him and his friends in the cancer ward.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so his aunt, Leslie, made a video, and Gonzo Gizmos, I believe, was the person
Yeah.
who like tagged me in it the first time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he tagged both. I think
you and I,
it was just you and I were the only ones that got
yep,
tagged because he knew that we had this. He knew well. To be fair and to make sure the credits do where it is, you started this by yourself a year ago, 2 years ago, or
like
so.
2 years ago, yeah,
2 years ago,
yeah.
and there wasn't like a ton of traction, but you
Nope.
never gave up on it. And then
We did
when
one campaign.
yeah, and then when you and I became friends, you were like, I think that's the first thing you texted me about was like, hey man, like I want to bring this back, and that was 3D Print Cares, and I was like, let's go, like let's do
Yeah, for
this,
sure.
and then yeah, so Gonzo tagged us, and he was the first, as far as I know, was the first 3D printer to like call to arms for the rest of us to get together.
Yeah, yeah. And then so you and I, we made videos and stuff like that, and started just blowing people up and calling out for their community. But like it was weird how it gained traction, right? Like it was like nothing for like the first like hour. It was just basically our friends, right? Like it was like Mike Priority, like it was just like Mike and like a couple friends like Art and those guys, right? And then out of nowhere, just
dude, it was
right?
like overnight. It was wild. I remember waking up the next day and
it's like 200 notifications.
Yeah, it was just like 99 plus on both, and I was like, what just happened? And I had felt bad, and I was really glad you were so focused on like liking all those things and commenting on all of them, because that drove me to make sure I was doing the same thing, because we both I think what's great about you and I, Brady, is that like we don't have to talk to each other to be on the same page. And so like we just like went to work. We just got to work right away, and we're just like trying to make sure everybody knew we were supporting them. We were grateful, reposting. I think you and I reposted probably at least 100 videos like together, and like we were just so excited that people, because like that day, the day that I put that video up, you and I both went to work to start making stuff for Holden and everybody. And then Gemini got on and was like, I packed a box, like I'm sending it out tomorrow, 2 days
3D
shipping.
Empire, by the way. 3D Empire was another one.
Yeah, he did the same thing.
Huge.
Yeah, same thing. Like right away, just like literally didn't even hesitate, packed the boxes, went ahead. You and I both did not sleep that day. I was up printing all night. I was printing, pulling stuff off build plates, putting it in the box, printing another thing. I have never seen my printers work that hard. I was really grateful for them in that moment. But yeah, it was.
Mine was all Adderall and energy drinks, dude. For sure.
Mine was 100%. Just energy drinks, and so I don't know, but I don't even know what else there was. But I think what was so cool was just how quickly and genuinely everyone responded.
It was cool.
The first time I cried about it, because there were several moments, as I was talking to my wife, and I just was like, we made a difference. Like that was the thing that hit me. because we can get into this in later podcasts, but I've had a colorful past, filled with
Right, for sure.
mistakes and things like that, and just dumb shit. And so to feel like I made a difference, and in some ways finding a little bit of retribution through my mistakes felt really good. And I just couldn't believe that there were so many people who own businesses, so many people. I
Yeah.
had the helmet challenge, and the amount of people that tagged me and things that were like, "Hey, sorry, I got to put this helmet on home." Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like let's get to work, you know. And I was just really excited about it, and we all put everything on hold. And again, we were already behind on getting this podcast out, but that
Yeah, go figure.
definitely helped delay it a little bit more, which is a good thing. I mean, this was a really good thing, because then, from that, you and I were like, it blew up so fast that it was a good problem to have, but it became a logistical nightmare almost instantly.
Yeah, we
Um,
had to put logistics in place, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, instantly. I mean, we both had to put out videos that said, "Hey, we really appreciate this. If you haven't sent to package yet and you're planning on it, finish it. But like, if you haven't gotten ready, like, no offense, but don't."
right.
But that's when you and I got together and we were like, we're gonna make this an actual like charity,
Yep.
and we've technically launched the website. It's almost done. Me and the guy who
3dprintcares.com.
yeah 3D print
3dprintcares.com.
cares.
I got to put a plug in for it.
You can
3dprintcares.com.
go there right now. Hopefully by the time the episode's up, it'll look a lot better. But if not, I'm sorry. But yeah, I've hired somebody to help me work on it. Because he is actually just a coworker of mine, so I'm really just paying him extra. But anyways, but we're gonna get it up. We're gonna have it so that there can be more logistics involved.
That's
where
what you said.
uh,
Sorry.
That's good. That was a good one. But yeah, hopefully the idea is that it's going to be a platform where you can nominate people to be recipients of 3D Print Cares. Obviously, we'll have some kind of vetting process. No offense to anybody, but like, unfortunately, in the world we live in, we're going to have to do some kind of vetting process. It's just the reality of the world we live in. But then what's going to be great? Yep. Unfortunately, but what's going to be great is then we're going to be able to have like profiles where you're going to be able to look and sign up for those specific profiles, and then once the signups get reached to a maximum number, then it'll be closed, so we don't overwhelm the people on the other side receiving it, and we just reach the goals and we move forward and we go on. And Brady, I know you you
gave me the runaway to be able to add who I want to this foundation, because you have to have a board member, right? Or board. And so I'm not going to put it out there out in the ethos yet, because like I want to make sure that everybody is like truly on board with running this. But like, we put it together with people from the community, and they're going to be amazing. So everybody's stoked about it, and we should be having a meeting this weekend. I'm going to try to put the meeting in for like Friday or Saturday. That's logistical. But anyways, for people listening, if you guys want to check out 3D Print Cares, you guys can go check it out. You can, I got to get you pictures of me. I'm just like, I don't know if Photoshop can fix this mug, dude. Like, this broken face of mine. So
hey, we already talked about it, man. I'm the one who got mauled by a dog, so you're all right.
So I mean, just think about it. Like, right, the person that's managing our podcast and is our sound engineer was like, "Hey, let's just keep this off of video for a while. So maybe we just have those voices made for podcast, and not the faces made for podcast. So like maybe we'll just stick there." So
only a face your mother would love,
Yeah, because like I got to tell you, when I'm doing video for TikTok, I get to play around with filters. But anyways, so but hey, man, so I have to get back to cleaning and for the house and stuff. But of course, I'm gonna get. I'll text you tonight the random stuff that I get thrown at me tonight, like. And of course, and I don't have a Roomba anymore too, because the dog pooped, and we'll talk about that later. But like, the dog pooped in the Roomba, so like that flicked it all. So anyways, I got to go like do floors and stuff like that, and whatever the wife does. But it's good talking to you. Good catching up.
No, I think this is great. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think part of the cool thing is just that, like, the idea behind this podcast in general for everybody else isn't just to talk about like 3D print stuff and TikTok and things like that. Like, it's basically us, right? We're just going to talk about all this stuff, and I am just really excited to keep going with it. I think that we have a lot of things on our plates. Both of us do professionally work outside of TikTok and 3D printing, and that's a lot of stuff on our plates. But we're going to keep doing this to everyone who's listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. and we can talk more. But yeah, 3dprintcares.com. I can't plug that enough because that is something extremely important for everyone here, because we made a difference once, which means we can make a difference again, and we can continue to make differences, hopefully forever. I mean, we're trying to set this up as a legitimate nonprofit that can exist forever, you know?
Yeah, it will be. And it will be taken on by other people. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and so the podcast for me has always been a dream of mine to do. And I want to make sure that people know that, like, when we talk about things that, like, in the words of Michael Jackson, right? Like, there are people there that are probably sitting there going, and I'm like this, and you are not alone, right? Because like a lot of people think that way, and a lot of people feel that way, right? So, but that's a big thing for me, is that I want to make sure that people understand that the podcast going forward is going to be, it's about everything and about nothing all at the same time, kind of a very Jerry Seinfeld approach. So I love it. Podcast. But Benski, I want to thank you for being the best bud and being that light in my life whenever I need to talk to somebody. So that's where I'm at for the podcast. And yeah, I'm Brady Meets World.
And then Brady, yeah, you know, you're like my best friend, which is, I think, so crazy in a world where we've never actually gotten to high five. So
yeah, that's coming.
You know, but it's coming.
It's gonna be such a shitty high five, though. I already know it's gonna be a shitty high five. Remember to watch for the elbow. Watch for the elbow. Yeah,
we got to record it. But anyway. No, yeah, and you know, guys, I'm basically Benski, and you know, my tagline, as you guys know, is mistakes make magic, baby. And Brady, you know, you're Brady.
And no one's half the battle.
No one's half the battle. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I hope that you come back for more, for our second episodes and so on and so forth. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for Basically Us, Episode 1. We are glad you enjoyed the show and hope to see you next time when Benski says...
What do I say?
See you next time.